All right, so I'm excited to have Nicole Walker here, one of our Shield Maiden alums, and also the VP of Close More Deals, way up in Canada, And this is a new, recent position for you, Nicole, right?
Yes, it is very new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you for taking time to be here today. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah. It's good to spend some time with you, and got to see you last week too, which was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
You didn't make me do any, no burpees, no.
You got away before I had the chance. It was coming.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're actually the third. This is the third guest I've had on the Championship Leadership Podcast in a row now that I also saw last week at Steeman's event. So on a roll, I guess you would say.
Exactly. Power of networking, right?
Yeah, it's a good role. It's a good role to be on. So, well, let's start this off. So, yeah, Championship Leadership is the name of the podcast. What comes to mind for you when you hear that term, that phrase?
A couple things come to mind. Something I think is really important with leadership is that it's not so much about instructing others what to do, but hearing and understanding what they need and supporting that. Because once the team is put in their proper positions or properly supported, then it lifts everybody up. And then that's when you're kind of earning that role versus dictating what everybody should do.
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
Yeah,
because I think of these dictator type leaders like my way or the highway. I think there was a time and a place where that worked, right? Like in the 50s and 60s, probably more than anything. Maybe, although I did have some coaches in junior high and high school that were kind of still from that mold.
Yep, same.
But yeah, I look at that more as like an insecure leader, right? Where they're just afraid to give up some control, and I think you lose out a lot when you operate that way, right?
Yep. It's more about kind of, I guess, feeding the ego versus lifting others up, building others up.
Yeah, you bet. So, well, tell me, how did you get to Canada from
I know, right? It's the funny part was last week at Steeman's event, I realized not many people were aware of my transition. So
okay. Yeah, I remember seeing a post on social media, and that was about it. But I guess I thought it, like I was talking to you, I thought you were in Arizona.
Well, yes. Yeah, so the corporate office for Close More Deals is in Arizona.
Yeah.
Luckily, with today's technology, you can pretty much work from everywhere. And so the reason that I'm in Canada specifically isn't so much for that position. Luckily, to my coffee intake, I can juggle a few different things.
Yeah.
So that helps.
So, yeah, Arizona or Canada? I'm not sure.
I know, I left Dallas, which was clearly a lot warmer. So a lot of times people are like, why?
Yeah. Did you say it was snowing today?
Yeah. But I had an opportunity to come to Canada to help a health and wellness company with their efforts in terms of marketing. And then it led to also assisting a holistic healthcare company as well, which were two kind of forms of marketing that I hadn't really, worked with a ton. So it was something different and a change. And I thought that would be a fun opportunity. And I've never really been to Canada either. So I thought, why not take the opportunity, be here for a few months.
Yeah.
Go from there.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Talk to us more about, your background and where you've come from and how you've gotten to this point, and like in what you do professionally, and give us a little bit of background on your story.
You bet. I guess story-wise, professionally, I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah, and I started at a mortgage company when I was in college, just as a receptionist, and kind of was lucky enough to work my way up. And I was in operational roles within mortgage lending for about 8 years. I, after like 2 years, got to be in a position where I was an underwriter at a young age, which was nice. It was a lot of pressure to be in control of a lot of, hundreds of thousands of dollars on a daily basis, but it did kind of help me learn leadership and understanding responsibility on a new level. So I really liked that, and it kind of paved the way for me moving forward. Then I transitioned into a role where I was more the loan originator. So I would help those who were looking to buy a home or want to be in home ownership take advantage of that and help them through that process.
Okay.
It got to a point where I wanted to expand my business and was struggling to, how do I set myself apart? And that's how I actually, through kind of looking online, came across Ryan Stewman and was intrigued by his methods. It was much different than what was typical in terms of marketing for the industry specifically. So I used, luckily, the tools that he taught, and it helped me with that business. And I started getting other people in that industry interested in wanting my help for the marketing piece. And I realized really after 16 years in that industry, I was more excited about that marketing component and helping others.
Yeah.
And working on the loans. So then I switched over to marketing and I worked for a different agency. I went out on my own. And I have a partnership in one now. And then of course I have I guess focusing on putting clients first, just being comfortable in that space led me to get a phone call from Steve Halverson with Close More Deals. And he said, hey, here's this new technology. I really want your help with it. And we've been kind of working on that for quite some time and getting it prepared so that we could present it to the world and see how we can help others grow their business through it.
That's awesome. So well, tell us a little bit more about this technology if you can, or is it top secret?
Nope, it's not top secret. We're wanting to share it. We're in the preparation of getting the information out there so we can put it out there to the masses. But it's actually kind of funny because it's very in depth, I guess. And so a friend of mine, Brandy Whitmire, likes to tease me that I overly explain it. So she's like, here's a more simple way for you to help.
Yeah, dumb it down for us. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the best way to explain the Pixel technology that we have is it allows you to know the anonymous site visitors that are coming to your website. Otherwise, you're unaware of them coming to there. And without them having to, opt in or fill out any forms, you're able to capture that person's identity. It's through, a encrypted privacy protected file, so that information is safe.
Mm-hmm.
But what's nice about it is it's first party data. You own the information. So it's, different in that sense from, Facebook's Pixel or Google's. It's yours. And having control of your own data is powerful as a business owner.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it should be your ultimate goal. So by being in control and owning that data, you can then use it on whatever kind of marketing channel that you would want to market those site visitors who are showing interest in whatever you're selling. So you can use it on Facebook, you can use it on Google, you can use it on YouTube, email campaigns, direct mail. The possibilities are endless. And so it's a great way for you to not waste, your marketing budget, to be more dialed in on it and get in front of that person on a lot of different levels.
What kind of information do you would you be able to collect? Like what kind of data is available through that?
So the data that's collected is, you have the name of whoever it is, their email information. You can understand the behavioral patterns that they were making prior to coming to your site. So you have an idea of like the websites they were searching, the videos they were watching, things like that. We can get you phone numbers if you want it, although I don't know if I would recommend that because I don't personally take calls that I don't recognize.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think kind of sticking to the messenger ad and stuff where people can respond that way, or email, right, where someone feels like there's that barrier to where they can make a decision if they want to be in that communication.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty. And is there anything like competition out there for that, or is this isn't something that I've ever heard of?
It is. It's going to be more and more, I think, prevalent and come out it's something that's been available, for only like larger corporations,
Yeah.
powerhouses, Google, Amazon, things like that. What's lucky is the team that we partnered with on it. They are wanting to get it out to the masses, and that's why we were excited about the venture. Was we want every business owner to have that opportunity
Yeah.
to grow and utilize this so that they can more effectively be in control of their marketing and stay in front of their customers.
Yeah, well, that's I mean, it's great. When I hear something like this, right? It's kind of cutting edge and innovative,
Yep.
and especially getting out to the masses. And when I think of championship leadership, to be a championship leader is all about that, right? Staying ahead of the curve, ahead of the game. You mentioned Ryan Stewman, like, if anything, I would say he's in that space of constantly thinking a few steps ahead,
Yep.
which is what brought you to him, right? That's
Yep.
he was kind of doing something in that space in the mortgage industry that you hadn't really heard or seen of before. And so, yeah, talk more to that maybe if you can. Again, just kind of the advantage of being the innovator and always, when I also think about it real quick is like, it can be hard, right? It can be tough to always be those few steps ahead, but at the same time, those that do win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's actually a big piece, that in what the marketing stuff that we're wanting to put together is really being like an early adopter of new technology is smart. I mean, you're putting yourself ahead of your competition, or you can wait till your competition either has it first and they have that advantage over you, which if, in terms of leadership, you should always be striving to, want the best and be the best. You want to be number one. That's, if you are all competitive, that's what you should want. And so finding these tools in whatever form they are, even if it seems weird and foreign and alien to you, don't pretend that it's not going to happen. I'm sure, plenty of years ago when we were enjoying DVDs and VHS and Blockbuster would never close, we never imagined that where we are with, watching movies and music, how we take that in and so on. So
yeah, well, to that point, right? Like,
yeah.
Blockbuster didn't think they were going to close, and they had the opportunity to buy Netflix, and
exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I mean Netflix is pretty much. I feel like they're going to take away movie theaters. It's
crazy, right?
Yeah.
I still love going to a movie theater, but yeah.
You can't be the popcorn.
Yeah, but with TVs nowadays, right? Like
exactly.
It's pretty much like having a theater in your house. So.
Yep.
Let's talk. You've invested in yourself.
Yes.
Quite a bit, I believe. And like I said, you came through Shield Maiden and invested in yourself there. But I know you'd been on that path for quite some time. So talk about that and what made you, because it's hard. I remember the first time I significantly invested in myself, like that first time especially.
Yeah.
It was scary. Like, no one I knew was willing to do that. If you would tell people what you were doing or how much you paid, again, depending on the circle you're in, there's not too many that can see it. Now I feel like, the network we're in, like you talk about $1 Million Mastermind or this big Thrive event coming up, huge speakers. When you're in that space, when you're around those people, it's almost like normal. But then you forget that there's millions of other people outside of you that are looking at us as a small percentage of people that are crazy and like, why would you spend that kind of money for this and not see it or understand the power in it?
Yeah.
So how did you get to that place and in your life? And
that's a good question. I actually was thinking about that the other day. So when I was in my mortgage, lending career, I was in the lovely like corporate job and I was doing really well at it, but it just seemed like I felt like suffocated, I guess, right? Like I was very systematic. I get up at this time, I do all these things, make all this money. Everything's fantastic. But I didn't have any I felt empty essentially. Like I didn't feel fulfilled no matter what I was doing. I could go buy something that's really nice, but still didn't, nothing felt enjoyable. And so I thought there's got to be something that I'm missing inside me that's giving me this feeling. So that's when I started kind of checking into again, masterminds and things like that were really, I was one of those naysayers, like, oh, that's silly. I don't want to be in no circle of, my feelings and stuff like that.
Right.
So I guess just wanting to embrace what I was doing wasn't working right. So let me find something else. Let me be adult enough to make that decision. And so I, again, through seeing what Ryan was doing and a lot of the groups that he had and other ones locally, I just once, I went through Marshall Silver, a couple of his events, and I became addicted. It was exhilarating to like constantly be pushed out of my comfort zone because I used to love living there, and sometimes I still want to be in there because it is nice. But every time I push myself out of it and I see what I'm capable, or what, there's this new height of what I'm able to do by getting out of there. It just makes you want to continue that path, even when it is uncomfortable. You're thinking about, but look at the growth I got from the last time I pushed myself out of that space. So that's a big thing for me, and I think that's, again, back to, if we want to go back to leadership, a huge thing for you to be a leader for, whether it's your community, your family, yourself, your business. You need to continue to want to learn, and you're never in a good position if you're going to pretend that you know it all. So you do have to be humble enough to know there's always something new to be learned, and that's you're wiser that way because you're going to be a step ahead, taking in all that knowledge.
Yeah, I think the moment you start thinking that you have it all figured out, or that you don't need to learn anymore, is the moment that I think you really stop. Right, you stop growing, and you get passed by.
You do, or you get slapped in the face with knowing that you weren't.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you get probably slapped in the face on the way by. Yeah,
exactly. Like, oh, oops, yeah.
Yeah. Not only do they pass you, they also slap you in the face on the way by.
Definitely not a pleasant experience, right?
So, what's a moment for you in your life where maybe this significant turning point? Champion leaders are willing to go right when everybody else is going left, even though maybe even everything else is telling them not to do it, right? Even that voice inside is kind of like, don't do this. But as a leader, just having that courage to be able to make that decision, I call it like decisive execution, making the decision and then moving, even though, no one else is taking that path, right?
Yeah.
And then to be an innovator, to be a few steps ahead. I think that's essentially what you're doing, is you're going down this path, and no one else can see it, but you can see it clearly. Is there a moment in your life where, like, if you hadn't gone that direction and you did go where everybody else was, that you wouldn't be where you are today?
Oh, completely. I think really, if I never embraced wanting to, just learn more about online marketing and going about it in a different way, I zero think I would be where I am today. And it is uncomfortable. And a lot of times I feel like I used to think like, oh, well, that was a mistake, and if I could just kind of go back and change. And now no matter what I do, I enjoy the fact that whether I think it's right or wrong or whatever the case might be, all these decisions lead me really where I think I should go. There was something I needed through that experience, even though that frame of time, it wasn't enjoyable and it didn't get me to the goal that I was wanting. It's take a step back, look at that situation. What lesson did you get from it? And do you think you needed that, so that when you do get closer to probably where you want to go, that lesson is going to help you be better prepared for that position? So it's changing your mindset in terms of how you look at that.
Yeah.
And that's crucial for anything, right? Mindset's huge. You know that, like with all of the incredibly long races that you're doing. Sure, there's a physical component to all of it, but really, if you can't will yourself, it's not going to happen. Doesn't matter your physical condition.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's physical as a part of it for sure, but like you said, it's majority of it is all up in your head. It's that mindset to continue to move when you don't want to.
Yeah.
What's who are some of the championship level leaders in your life, as from whatever part of your life, that really stick out to you, that have been that have helped to guide you maybe to where you are today?
Yeah, that's a good question. Definitely, I would say, Ryan Stewman's been big for me. and a lot of people that I was introduced to within that network. Also, going
Yeah.
through Field Maiden was a huge experience for me. And sometimes I forget some of the lessons that I was taught within that. But
Yeah.
having that balance, right, between, you know, family, work, all of those elements, connections in your life, that's key. And I think that's what good lessons, you know, so I look up to that. And I learned a lot too with that experience. You know, I had to become a leader in that role with you guys because I knew I was in better conditioning than some of the other people there. But it
Yeah.
wasn't about that. It was about learning that we had all had to get to a certain spot. And so that did nothing. That was more powerful for me that I could be a part of that and help others achieve their goals too.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
So, so definitely you and Satana have been huge.
Yeah.
Um,
And we didn't even pay you to say that. I love
I
it.
know, right? I would,
Um,
I'd love to do the experience again. It was fantastic.
yeah. Well, thank you. And you
Yes,
can come back. We could do that for you.
I'll enjoy getting that sand kicked in my face again.
That's good stuff.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Good memories. We just had, there was one of the guys that came through, and you might know him, Michael Mann. Do you know him? He's a mortgage guy.
I've seen something there. Sure,
Yeah.
I do.
Anyways, he's back in California this week, and he just posted a video. He went to the beach and was reflecting a bit. And so it's kind of cool to see those that have come through and see the impact that it's made in their life is awesome. So
It
what's
is.
let's kind of wrap this up here. Like, what's a big vision for you as you continue to grow? Maybe, next 5 years, next 10 years, like, yeah, where do you see yourself headed and going? And like, yeah, what do you have? Big goals, big dreams, right?
Yep.
What, what's that look like for you?
I think a big thing for me is, you know, I've spent the last couple of years working on just marketing, right? I expanded my abilities with that, you know, sales funnels, landing pages, other forms of marketing. And my concern was that I knew I needed to constantly advance that because it's going to be ever changing. And that's
Yeah.
what I really liked about the opportunity with Close More Deals was no matter what type of marketing somebody's going to be doing, the technology would be able to assist them in that in multiple channels of that marketing. And I know there's going to be longevity. Marketing will never stop happening. And so
Right.
it may shift in how one goes about it, but it's always going to be there in one format or another. And even this technology at one point, it's going to be, you know, obsolete
Yeah,
and further
absolutely.
advanced. And if I can stay involved in that, I want to. I think it's exciting to feel like you're in the forefront and
Hmm.
be involved in the impact that can create. For me personally, I love traveling. So that's why, you know, I've kind of last couple of years been open to, you know, opportunities that led me from other states so that I could learn from new people. It's a new experience for me and a new culture to be in Canada. It's not, I am
Yeah.
the exact same, right, as living in Utah or Texas and other places. So I want to continue to push myself in that space too, where I'm putting myself in constant new experiences and see where that takes me. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool to be able to do that and to be in a place where you can move and experience, have those experiences, right? I mean, think of how many people, it's not good or bad really, but how many people just kind of stay in the same place their entire lives and in what they miss out on, I guess.
that's the big thing is they
From
are
doing it.
missing out, and it's
Yeah,
unfortunate. You know, they're
yeah,
unaware of that and
yeah.
the experience they could have if they just push themselves out of that comfort zone.
Yeah, I remember when I went to junior college in the Twin Cities in Minnesota here,
Mm-hmm.
I played football. It was really crazy. I played football with some guys that were like from St. Paul, and we're in, the Twin Cities is just a big suburban area, and
Yeah.
Minneapolis and St. Paul are two big cities, and some had never left St. Paul. Like, really? Like, it's just kind of amazing to think about that, right?
Right.
And but anyway, so before we do leave here, what are one or two things you could give our listeners, a lot of business owners, a lot of people that maybe just want to get a little bit better in life.
Yeah.
What would be one or two things that you could leave them with before we close it out?
Sure. I think one, especially being a business owner, what are you doing? For one, I think as I want to empower business owners too. That one of the big things that I shifted with my marketing is kind of instead of wanting to manage people's accounts, is I wanted to consult them because I wanted to empower them to have enough knowledge base if they wanted it, or to have at least people on their team to have the proper knowledge to manage that, so that they're not feeling like they're, yeah, I guess, stuck to my guidance and not knowing what's going on with their own business. And the same thing with the Pixel is by you being able to have that control of your own data. I like giving people that, like, here's these tools so that you can be in control of your own life. I think that's important, is that you have the control, but know what to do with it and put it in the proper hands to support you. Again, that's part of being a leader.
Yeah.
You can't do everything yourself, right? But you do need the proper team. And you need to have enough knowledge base as a leader to accept this may not be my expertise. So who can I put in these positions who are going to be the expert? And that's, again, going to only put everyone involved in a better situation. So it's kind of back to ditch that ego.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to try something new and see how the experience goes. And I think those are big things that help.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's kind of taking that right. Everybody's going left, right? It's having the courage to go after what you want, and yeah, to stay a few steps ahead of everybody else. So I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. What how can everybody follow you or get a hold of you, and what you're doing, especially with Close More Deals and this technology that you guys have that you're excited about? Like, yeah, how can we, and we'll add this to the show notes as well.
Perfect. So I sent you the link for the website. Again, the space that I'm concentrating on is more the business, the B2B space with Close More Deals, but it's just Close More Deals /B2B. Okay. So there's information there, a way to contact me. My email is Nicole@closemoredeals.com. And then, of course, on social media, just Nicole.Walker, and you'll find me on Facebook and IG and all that good stuff. Are you
on IG?
I am.
All right, good. That was the main theme, I think, of almost all the speakers was Facebook's great.
I need to step up my game though on IG. I'm not gonna lie.
Number one. Yeah, but they're like, IG, you better get with it. Otherwise, you are going to get passed by. Yeah, everybody was talking about Instagram the whole time.
Completely. Yep. I'm great about sharing that with clients, like on what they should do, and then I'm
exactly
implementing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep. So, well, thank you so much for being here and being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate the invite, and it was a pleasure, of course, to chat with you.
You bet. Have a good day.
Hey, thanks, Nate.